This week, in Genesis, chapters 31 through 35, we read of Jacob and his family leaving Padan Aram, the land of his ancestors, and the land where he married his wives, Rachel and Leah. We read of the family's return to the land of Canaan, of Jacob wrestling with an angel, the reunion with his brother Esau, and the beginning of the family's life settled in the land promised to them by God. In the midst of this vast narrative, with important implications for the family, the nation, and the Jewish people, there is a single verse that caught my attention. Genesis 35:8. It reads, Tamot dvora meineket Rivka, vatikaver mitachat levet el, tachat ha'alon, vaikra shemo alon bachut. Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died, and was buried under the oak below Beit El. So it was named Alon Bachut. This verse is unrelated to the narrative that surrounds it. It is only the second time in the Torah that we read about Rebekah's nurse, and the first time that we learn her name, Dvorah. There is nothing in the text that helps us to understand why this seemingly extraneous point is included. The purpose of this verse has intrigued readers of the Torah from the very beginning. Already in Bereshit Rabbah, a collection of rabbinic legends that is nearly 2,000 years old, Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachman cannot believe that the Torah is merely telling us of the death of Dvorah. He thought that it must be indicating a more significant event. He suggested that this was a subtle way to inform the reader of the death of Rivka, Jacob's mother and Dvorah's charge for so many years. This interpretation has stood the test of time, repeated by commentators throughout the generations and around the world, each adding their own twist and their own perspective. In reading these chapters this week, I came across the writings of Dr. Funlola Ojede, a South African biblical scholar. She writes, the respect accorded to this extraordinary wet nurse at her funeral shows that to the mourners, Dvorah was not an insignificant person. Neither does the text portray her as a nobody. In death, she was accorded the kind of mourning reserved for heroes and great women or men. That the text recognized Dvorah in this manner shows that, in God's script, there are no little people. The tendency to gloss over Genesis 35:8, to pretend that Dvorah is not there, or that she is someone else, for instance Rebekah, is uncalled for, as the verse fits into the context. I am moved by Dr. Oljede's interpretation, by her advocacy that Dvorah deserves the same respect that we want to give to Rebekah, that we assume is due to the more flashy heroes and great leaders. Over the past 2 years, we have all come to recognize and appreciate the importance of caregivers, and of nurses in particular, even if the title meant something different in the Torah than it does today. But the message here for me is simpler. Dvorah was an important, if quiet, figure in the life of Rebekah and her son Jacob. This is why Jacob mourned her death, and why the Torah takes the time to inform us of that truth. Dvorah is here to teach us to stop and take notice of all the people in our lives, the ones who grab our attention, and the ones who play a more quiet role. We must appreciate them while they are with us, because we will certainly mourn them when they are gone.